here. But hurry, please. We have so much time and so little to see. Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it. Thank you.
When do I get my chocolate?
First, take off your coat, Violet.
Boy, what weird-looking coat hangers.
Little surprises around every corner, but nothing dangerous. Don't be alarmed. And as soon as your outer vestments are in hand, we'll begin. Now, will the children kindly step out here?
Floods, fire, frost of frippery.
Accidents? What kind of accidents?
I didn't know we had to sign anything for this tour.
I can't see what it says in the bottom.
Violet, you first. Sign here.
Hold it. Let me through here, you kids. Violet, baby, don't you sign anything there. What's this all about?
Standard form of contract.
Don't talk to me about contracts, Wonka. I use them myself. They're strictly for suckers.
Yes, but you wouldn't begrudge me a little protection. I'd be robbed.
I don't sign anything without my lawyer.
My broker don't sign anything either.
Then she don't go in. I'm sorry, rules of the house.
I want to go in! Don't you dare stop
I'm
me!
only trying to help you, sweetheart.
Give me that pen! You're always making things difficult.
Nicely handled, Baruka. She's a girl who knows where she's going. Violet.
Oh, wait a minute. What's all that small print there at the bottom?
Oh, if you have any problems, dial information. Thank you for calling. Mike, Augustus?
Violet. Violet.
I assume there's an accident indemnity clause.
Never between friends.
Saw this in a movie once. Guy signed his wife's insurance policy. Then he bumped her off.
Clever.
What about me, Grandpa?
Sign away, Charlie. We got nothing to lose.
Let's go in. Come on.
Patience, patience, little dear. Everything has to be in order. Everyone sign? Yes. Good. On we go.
Hey, I'm Kyle. Thanks for joining me and Andy for the Legendary Creature Podcast. So, if you're listening with your kids or your conservative grandma, maybe don't, because we swear.
Or you can check us out on YouTube, because hey, that's no place for conservative old women or children.
Fuck yeah.
Are you nervous about this one?
I think it's going to, I feel like I mean, we do our therapy sessions.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be more revealing than a therapy session.
This is going to be pretty, yeah, this is going to be pretty revealing. But, you know, we got to do it, you know? Hopefully we can work this out and we can get some ideas from the people that listen to us maybe to how to fix it out. And,
yeah,
you know, it's kind of an including everybody in our gameplay reality, which we're always trying to do.
Yeah, come join.
All right, so what are we doing today?
So the idea is that we kind of are going to talk about our group charter.
Yeah.
Because in as much as building decks and all that kind of stuff is a major part of the game, probably just as big is maintaining a healthy play group.
Yeah.
And kind of a decorum that your group of friends abides by. That's probably just as important as the decks you bring to the table. And so that's what we want to do, is we want to explore that today.
Yeah, if you listen to our podcast, it's been listening, you can kind of tell we're leaning pretty hard on we play with people we know. That's pretty much what we do. So a lot of the advice we give comes from that space. So it might be hard to kind of sift out the advice or deck philosophy or deck building philosophy that we take in and apply it to how your play experience is, because if you're the guy that kind of goes to the play shop or whatever, you're kind of that guy that's always on the Reddit thread saying, I'm at this random airport. Does anyone want to play EDH? Can I find 3 people at the same time? If that's your thing, then yeah, I hope we do create content that is useful for that. But then there's the other part where you hear us talk about it a lot, just salt-inducing plays, things that we just kind of don't want to engage in because we want a good play experience. We want a good play narrative. We say all the time, yeah, the narrative is what we're trying to protect. We want everyone to remember that game and how it panned out, you know?
Exactly.
Not just, oh, he comboed off. And then the next time, oh, he's going to combo off again.
Right.
You know?
Right. There's a difference between playing with strangers or acquaintances and playing with close friends
Yeah.
that you play with regularly.
And I think for me, like, I need more decks because I play with people and I have to keep it fresh.
Yes.
And not fresh for just your guys' like experience, but mine for the nonsense I'm up to. Because once you guys figure out the scam,
Yeah.
you know, the direction, the whole, the strategy, like it starts to come undone a little bit.
When we talk about
because
that
you kinda
regularly,
know.
that decks get solved when you play against the same people.
Yeah, you'll
Like
figure it out.
in terms of people solve how to play against it as an opponent.
Yeah.
So how are we going to structure this, Andy? Like we've kind of put together a list of things.
Yeah, so we both came up with a list of things that we want either changed or maybe we just need to talk about them, me and you, that's been going on in the play group.
Yeah.
And then you and I are going to bounce ideas off each other as to whether it is a solution, yes or no, and whether we can actually do it. We got to try to keep some stuff in mind. We don't have everybody that plays hooked up to a microphone to voice their argument.
That's okay. I'm here.
So
I'm everybody's voice.
It might not make it to fruition because I think we're going to try to be democratic about it and be like, how do you guys feel about making these changes?
Well,
you know?
Prime Speaker Andy,
Prime Speaker Kyle. Yeah, let's.
So I think what we're going to start with is we want to talk about what we feel like we do well.
Yeah, I think that what works for us. So, couple house rules that we have, and that's the other thing is like it's a casual format. So like we've made some of our own rules.
Sure.
Yeah, like I don't know. It seems like every time we've had people come in from other play groups that they've played in, they're like, okay. I've never had anyone go, the fuck? Why is that a rule?
Why would you make that rule?
Yeah, I think they're player friendly. They're not like,
oh yeah,
they're not. I don't know. Maybe there is a couple rules that protect specific decks in our meta.
Well,
but none of them mine are yours.
I was gonna say, but the thing is that I think our play group has also adapted to some of these. Anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah. So I think what's working well for us is that we have. It's not really a rule, but it's kind of a gentleman's agreement that no one in our church
because it is sacred to
plays the same commander that's in the open roster right now. So, for example, if I have a Queen Marquisa list, Kyle can't go out and make one himself.
Right.
Even if you're not playing it at the same game, it's just my opponent. Like even if I play it on game 1 and then go over to a different deck for game 2, and you bring yours in, the other two players have now faced 2 decks or 2 times.
Yeah, they're playing against Queen Marquisa quite a bit
all the time. Like Marquisa's always here, so it's like we're just not doing that. So I think that's working well for us because it fosters variety.
Yes.
If somebody wants to emulate something I'm doing, they've got to go out of their way to figure out a different way to do it. And yeah, I might have already picked off the optimal way of doing something.
Sure.
And I don't know. To that, I say sorry. I get there first. So but the same goes for me. There's stuff that you've taken where I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to do that, but you got to it first.
Yeah.
And there's always more content. There's always more cards. There's always more legends. There's always legends that we didn't move on. There's always different builds for different legends. Like I think there's enough play space that we can keep doing this for a while. It's getting strained a little bit with.
Yeah. The more people added to the group that rotate through, the harder it is.
I think, yeah, the hard one is bringing people who already have decks. Like I can't say, oh, well, you can't play that because I have it. Like we've never done that. We had a guy come and play with us and he had like a Mizzix deck and I was like, yeah, man, you're not part of our OG, so knock yourself out. Like,
yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah, bring it to the table.
But if you're starting out or you haven't really been playing Commander or whatever, or you came to the group and you're looking to make new decks, you can't make ones that are being openly and still sleeved and used by people already coming.
I think in addition to this bringing variety to the table for everybody, I think it also forces everybody into better explorations as well.
Well, I think we all want it. I don't want any of your fucking decks. I want to have my own identity here. I want to have my gimmick and my thing, my own space cut out. Like that's the reason I play Magic.
Yeah.
I don't play Magic for. That's why other constructed formats are less appealing to me, is because there's like a short list of decks. They're just the optimal decks.
Yeah.
And that's the ones people just pick.
Sure.
Yeah. I like the freedom that non-competitive EDH will get you.
And I think having the multiple, like no multiples commanders, like I say, like it opens up that exploration. Cause I know like this last year, I wanted to get into playing artifacts a little bit, but you've carved that space out in red pretty heavily, you know? And so...
But now I'm moving into your space a little bit. Like I've been playing more white the last year.
Yeah.
You know?
But you've had to kind of find your own way around that. I ended up landing on Tutor and doing an artifacts deck there. And yeah, I've learned some elements from watching you play artifacts, but I'm definitely not doing the same shit you're doing with Duretti.
No, yeah, no way. They're not even remotely the same. So yeah, I feel like that's working, right? I don't think we need to look at that. I think we have some pretty forgiving new player rules. So people that just haven't played Magic for a while, or they've never played Magic ever, I try to kind of run them through like using the battle decks from Card Kingdom. Those are the ones I usually point them at.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah, and I kind of show them the mechanics because yeah, they usually come with multiplicative of the same deck or same card over and over and over again. Like the original starter decks that the company had made, they were like, here's an artifact, here's a land, here's a creature, here's an enchantment. It seems like they wanted to kind of go all around the
like give you the full spectrum of Magic the Gathering.
In every deck, and the deck just it didn't really have a good. There was just no synergy.
Sure,
but the battle decks, the ones that those guys make, they're almost too synergistic. We gotta get
sponsored by them, dude.
Yeah. And then that's the only one? Are we gonna just become a sponsor-ridden nightmare of a podcast where we're just going off on everyone? Sorry, I'll stop. Anyway, so I usually get them on those just so they can understand like the mechanics of the deck.
Yeah.
And then really hopefully like they're gonna fall into this is actually what kind of backfires. So they'll get a deck they like because they're relatively cheap. And then we did the same thing. This becomes like their identity. Like they want a Golgari deck. They want an Orzhov deck. Like they want that and translate that over to Commander. And the valley is narrow. You can see across the valley, but it's a deep one.
There is a gulf indeed.
There is a gulf. Like you can see, but you can't jump it. It would be dangerous to do it. So I try to get them into that. But with the playgroup rules, we've got things like pretty much if you sequence something wrong on your turn, as long as no one else was interacting with what you were doing, like somebody was shoving things onto the stack or whatever, we can let you resequence. So if you played something out of order or whatever, so long as you
realize that like, oh, I had this other play that I was thinking about doing this turn, I kind of want to let me roll that back and just do this instead.
Right.
Like,
and yeah, so this is, I think this one's kind of where it starts to get a little shaky. Because people roll back stuff that was, I don't know. There's been moments where the rollback
it goes too far.
It goes too far, and then we don't have like a hard definition. So I think that's what we probably need to work on. But I don't want to completely take away. I don't want to punish people for not making the right play on their turn. I don't know how am I trying to say this? I want you to play your deck to its maximum capacity. I don't want to cheese out a win because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Like we all know that neckbeard at the game shop that doesn't let you roll stuff back like that. And
yeah, sure. And whatever their feelings are about that, whatever. But like my whole thing is like there are no prizes here. We're not walking into the kitchen and reporting a winning to my mom. Like it's not like it doesn't happen. Like there's no, if you need to get your stuff out in the right order and you sequence something different, I probably don't know how your deck works anyway, but I know combos when I see them, and I trust myself to deal with it.
Right.
It's not that you're going to do something so busted that there's no way I can deal with it. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, the rollback thing I think is pretty flexible.
We should probably define some boundaries. Yeah. Like the rollback if there's no interaction going on with other people.
Right.
And like on your turn.
We need to put some fences around this rule for sure.
For sure.
And then we don't really engage in mass land destruction. So our land destruction rule is you can destroy a land if it does anything more than produce mana. So a legal target would be like a Rogue's Passage. A legal target would be a
Reliquary Tower.
And then there's one exception to that. It's Cabal Coffers. Like we kind of the big mana ones. We kind of have like you can blow those up.
Yeah,
but you can't be blowing up somebody's like. Is it Boiler Works? Like all it does is produce mana.
Yeah.
This is also something that I think we need to build fences around. Like I think the playgroup's kind of moving in a direction of exploiting this a little bit. At least the decks that are being built.
Yeah, I'll admit something in our building is that we don't usually have as sophisticated of a land base as a lot of other people I notice do. But
well, it's not something that people are willing to spend money on.
yeah, but that is a thing. It can be exploited for sure.
Yeah, I think mine and yours philosophy on expensive land is buy it when it's cheap because it's the gold and silver standard of the card game. So shock lands and fetch lands, they're the gold and silver standard. Like they're the beating heart of the game. For whatever reason, their prices are going to go up and down, but they're always going to be heading in a positive direction.
Yes.
In the long term. But don't buy those expensive lands at the expense of you making a new deck that could get you an archetype or a mechanic that you've never played before.
Yeah.
I'd rather build a new deck than spend $400 on a land base that's going to go into 5 of the decks I already have. That's me.
Yeah, that's
And
our. I think
you gotta
we share
understand
that
the space
philosophy.
I'm coming from. I'm trying again to foster a play experience. I'm trying to give you guys a different challenge. I'm trying to give myself a different challenge. I'm trying to make sure the decks I've already built don't lose their, spice melange anymore. You know what I mean? Like I want them to be surprising and still and be a shakeup. So I just find more value in putting my money in a whole new deck than buying expensive lands.
Yeah, and I like what you put in here on the notes with this was that like avoiding mass land destruction kind of keeps the game heading in the right direction. Everybody's sort of progressing.
Yeah,
we've provided
I think a lot of play groups that's their rule. They
we've
we've
provided the space where problematic lands can be dealt with. It's not as if it doesn't exist that you can't deal with and interact with lands. That space is there.
Yeah. But this is a rule that we're going to talk about and try to either put fences around it or wipe it out.
I don't know. We've brought up like does it hurt Boros to not have mass land destruction?
The last rule I think we have is we don't allow automatic graveyard hate.
Like static graveyard.
Static graveyard hate. So you can do Nihil Spellbomb, you can do Tormod's Crypt. You can
go ahead and play your Bajuka Bog.
Yeah, Bajuka Bog. Like anything that's permanent though, that continues to do the work for you, we just haven't really allowed it. So the cards, it's a short list, but like to give some names out. Leyline of the Void wouldn't be allowed. Rest in Peace wouldn't be allowed. And I guess Grafdigger's Cage is another one that
Grafdigger's Cage is a little different from those, but it prevents people from casting stuff.
But it works.
From their yard.
It works good enough for us.
Others also like Anafenza actually we haven't outright banned Anafenza, but Anafenza would fall into that kind of
but we never said anything about Anafenza because every color can. So the whole space we're coming from with this list, and this is probably one of our oldest rules that really probably needs to get talked about tonight, is red and black can't deal with the enchantment based versions of the. So red is gonna have to go out of his way for it.
Yeah. So red can get to the Grafdigger's Cage, but Rest in Peace.
And
Ashes of the Abhorrent.
Ashes of the Abhorrent.
Leyline of the Void.
It can't touch them.
I think Planar Void is another one that does that too.
There's more than those. I was just throwing those out.
But yeah, you're right.
To give you an idea of what the effects that we're trying to. But we made this rule back in 2012, and back then, red's come a long way since then. I can say that like for sure. It has ways to reach in other people's decks. It's got kind of desperate draw mechanics. It's got more tools. It doesn't have anything that specifically destroys enchantments, but it does have ways to steal those out of the graveyard.
Or things like Chaos Warp.
That was the only thing at the time.
Yeah.
And at the time, Chaos Warp was like I think it was like a $10 card or something like that. Yeah, it wasn't like
something you could just
at the time. So I think the only other option when we wrote that rule out was I think Spinavish Saw. We hadn't done Battle for Zendikar and gotten
Scour from
that
Existence.
7 mana. Like so even still we don't. I don't know. We just haven't revisited that rule because there's certain decks that we're trying to protect.
Yeah, they can't
so
deal
they can
with
do their thing.
Specifically enchants, like to stop that thing that completely pulls apart their deck.
Are there any other house rules that we got? I think that's it.
Yeah, we've developed a few recent ones, I guess, but we can maybe talk about those in line later.
Rules?
Yeah, just some cards, I think.
Oh, deck restrictions. Okay, so let's talk about the rules. Let's start with the rollback policy. Okay. So what are your feelings on that? Like, do you feel like it's worth it to preserve? Maybe we should talk about what we think it's doing for us and then what it's just not doing for us. So I think the only thing is that it keeps the feel bads out a little bit, but then the person that didn't make the mistake is the one that's doing gets the feel bad. Right?
Yeah. Well, so I think that, to me, I think maybe the discussion should be here trying to capture the spirit of the law and make the letter of the law follow that. Right.
All right.
So the spirit of it is to, I think, to acknowledge the fact that we are playing a very complex format.
Fuck yeah.
You have multiple opponents
Yeah.
who have a lot of permanents and spells zinging around your head.
Yeah.
And it's hard
there's a lot going on.
It's hard to keep track of all of it. Even for a very savvy player, it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You yourself, oftentimes, as you're looking at the board, your plans are changing on at any given
Turn-to-turn basis.
any given
yeah,
moment.
every time the stack's got something loaded on it, your plan might change by the time on resolution. Yeah.
And so I think the spirit of it is to kind of, you've talked about like the new players, but I think just to afford a little bit of wiggle room for all of us, that, yeah, you might have the cognition that something is better to do just a second after you cast some other spell. So rolling that back, I think that's what we're trying to do, is like allow people to make the optimal play at the right time, I think is probably the operative phrase there.
Yeah. But when is so up until now, we pretty much said like you can't resequence pretty much when you end your turn. As soon as you end your turn, any resequencing opportunity is now gone.
Yeah.
So playing a card in a different order where you can get that extra mana, or playing a card in a certain order where you get your extra draw effect, or just, it's usually little stuff like that you're trying to capture anyway with resolution of a sequence.
Yeah.
I think you know how to set your combo up correctly because it was integral to your winning of the deck.
Yeah. So let's give an example here. Like one that I think has come up in my mind when I'm playing a deck is like, let's say I cast a creature that has some kind of utility to me, and then I cast my Beast Whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realize,
I should
have cast my Beast Whisperer first so I can draw a card from casting this other one.
Yeah.
Like I think to me that kind of fits in the spirit of the law what we're trying to talk about. It doesn't impact anybody else's game. It's something that's intuitively obvious. It's just, you sequenced it kind of funky. And
yeah, like while you get an extra card, it's like you could have done it anyway. Like I don't need to, you had the mana and the correct cards in hand.
It was something that
it was a sequence thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
and again, since I don't need to go report a fucking win to my uncle, okay,
right.
Like I just draw your card is kind of my attitude. It's like, yeah, I'm not really, I don't know. Maybe I'm arrogant. I'm just like, I'm not fucking worried about your next card, I'm just not.
And like you said, like I want to play against your optimal play.
I do, actually. I hate going up against decks that can't hang. I actually don't like it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the opposite either, where I'm getting steamrolled. but yeah, So how about this as just an idea? What if we put the fences around the sequencing in the phase? So let's say you sequence, you resolve your permanence or whatever you're going to do at your main phase.
Yeah.
You move into combat. You've lost your chance, right? Like you can't resequence now.
Yeah.
During combat, same thing, and then. I don't know.
Yeah, so if we get to the post-combat main phase and we say like, oh shit, I should have played that Caustic Caterpillar after the Beast Whisperer. Like,
but here's where I'm going to think there's going to be holes poked into it, right? What if no one uses their combat? Because it's Commander. Combat is the smallest phase in Commander.
Sure.
So I just pass to my main. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like
usually we just end the turn. All right, no, I don't. We don't sit there and go, okay, I have no combat. Like we just go, all right, I'm done, and then we pass the turn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, do you think that kind of handles itself? Because if somebody's moving into combat, they're probably either in a combat-oriented position or they're using a combat-oriented deck. So if we say this rule, like you cannot resequence if you move into combat,
I can see that, but it probably functions. It probably stays contained within that phase, anyways, right? Even if they don't use combat.
Yeah,
they're functionally treating both of their main phases as one singular one.
Okay. So do you think that handles a lot of it?
I think so. And I think defining it specifically is something that we need to do, because I think we have these moments where we get into other people's turns sometimes.
And then they go,
and somebody's like, oh, I should have done this. And like you said,
we haven't been that bad in a long time.
We haven't, but I think it comes up occasionally. And yeah, I like that. I think
it's never me, you, or Brad or anybody. It's usually like people who are newer.
Yeah.
They're like newer people. We go, yeah, right. Like it's never me or you that pulls out of we're in another person's turn and realize we played something wrong. I'll state I played something wrong. I'm like, oh, fuck, I should have done it this way. And then I go, well, that's it.
So what about other types of rolling back? Because there's sequencing that people roll back.
Yeah.
But there's other types of rolling back where people declare attackers. And then they kind of realize, oh shit.
Yeah, this is the one I'm actually pretty irritated by. I'm actually hard on this.
And
one.
I don't think we've created any kind of parameters around that, which is probably something we need to do.
So a lot of the time, what'll not a lot of the time, but I don't see you making the mistake and you commit. You know, this is what I love about Cam. It's like Cam will not allow any rollbacks for himself. Nope, it's already done. Like he won't do it. Because he's trying to get everybody in on that, and I'm like, you know what? We should be more like him. Like, I think
we really should.
I think really, like, as players, we should strive to not fucking have to use these. Like, I agree. We should just be like, we can't. I shouldn't be resequencing. I should know my deck, and I shouldn't be resequencing things in the wrong way.
Yeah, because if you go play with strangers, they're probably not going to be as charitable as we are.
Hell no. So what do you think is going to happen when we're all done doing this? We're not playing anymore. Like, we've moved on and off, and retired the podcast and everything's done and the dust is settling and you're like, I still want to play Magic. Like you've been in an environment that was
really nice.
Yeah, but also you've been kind of a brat. Like you've been undisciplined, you know? You and I came from a disciplined play environment before we started doing Commander. So I don't know. We've actually made concessions to people because we wanted to make a good place to play it.
Yeah.
I think the combat thing. Yeah. So what'll end up happening, like just to kind of, I think what we're thinking about is somebody will attack and they'll notice, oh wait, they've got Death Touch, and then you're like, okay, I block, and then it's a bad block.
I think,
or I
Death
double
Touch
block,
or Infect. I think are things that people are. Well, we don't see Infect that much, but I think it's similar.
Yeah.
Where oh shit, this is gonna be bad for me.
Yeah. So no one's ever attacked, and then you drop a Swords of Plowshares on somebody and go, well, then I'm not gonna attack if you're gonna do that. Like no one's ever done that. It's they've attacked into your board and they didn't notice that you had a Death Touch blocker and they go, oh, well, then I won't attack you.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of in this weird space of
I was just about to have the opportunity to remove your creature.
But this is where I can see it. It kind of goes both ways, right? So sometimes they're attacking you with a creature that's of low value and you don't really want to block it, you know? So you go, okay, yeah, roll it back because you don't want to take the damage and you don't want to block it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That happens a lot with me where somebody will send like Nath of the Guilt Leaf at me and I'll be like, all right, I have a 1/1 Death Touch. Oh, never mind. And I go, okay. Well, actually, I would definitely want Nath dead. But
yeah,
you get what I mean. Like there's somewhere I'm like, I'm not really worried about the creature. I don't really want to trade my Death Toucher for this creature. I want it later on. So I think this just can't happen anymore. Like I'm saying, if you can't read the board, sorry. It's been permanent. They passed their turn. They've gone through all of the checks and made sure everything was legal on their turn, and now they've given it to you, and you've done your business, and now you're attacking. Sorry, like you're in combat. You decided to attack this person. They have a permanent that's been out there for you to see for God only knows how long. Fuck off, like it's dead.
I agree with that.
I feel strongly because I run a lot of Death Touch, and I'm sick. I'm kind of, and I'm sick of like.
Well, you're getting robbed, right?
Well, and I'm robbing the rest of the play group or the other players when the card equity doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like you, as the guy who's observing this interaction, can watch 2 cards get removed if I have to fucking block it.
Yeah.
And you get robbed of that when they go, oh well, never mind. I
Point.
forgot. I didn't know that was Death Touch because I'm not looking at your shit.
So
it drives me crazy.
Let me ask you: do you feel like it's an observational issue, as in we're not observing the board state?
That's what it is.
Or we're not declaring the board state well enough.
I mean, yeah, I guess. Like, I don't know. I forget that a lot of people don't know my own deck. So when I say, well, I'm casting, I don't know, what's like an emblematic. I'm putting out Grave Titan. Although everyone should know Grave Titan's a fucking Death Touch. He's almost in every goddamn black deck. I'm just trying to think of maybe there's some corner case cards.
Sure.
That, oh yeah, I didn't know that was Death. Like the Oren Viper. That one's kind of a weird one. It's written out on the card.
It's functionally Death Touch.
It's functionally Death Touch. I don't think those happen enough.
So,
and no one's ever argued that to me where they attacked and they were like, Wait, it doesn't say death touch.
So
if someone said that and they didn't really know the card, I'd be like, well, maybe I would give it to them.
Sure. Here's the thing to me, and I think that this kind of a thing, like the combat rolling back.
Yeah.
I think the symptom that's there is something that is a personal responsibility.
Yeah, sorry, you decided to attack me.
Well, not only
problem.
that, but I think if you're not aware, I mean, Andy, you and I have been playing Magic for quite a while.
Yeah.
But I still ask people quite often, read that card off to me. Especially when they're playing newer decks. If I like, there's you know, like there's a good.
You're never gonna see them all.
Yeah, there's a good suite of cards that I know and I understand them at least on some basic functionality level.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cards I just don't fucking know, or there's pieces of it that I'm not sure of. I will ask people regularly to read cards at the table, and I think it's important that everybody do that. If you don't know what's out there, ask.
You need to ask.
But that's on you.
But this should be a good training exercise for you to ask.
Yeah.
You getting your card ripped is a good way to go. I should ask next time.
Yeah.
Rather than going, oh, it's a 1/1. I can at least see that. All right, I can't be bothered with the rest
but
of
if it's one of those 1/1 death touch haste assassins.
Yeah. I feel pretty passionate about this one. I really actually don't care about the sequencing thing too bad. Like you can tell I'm just kind of like, whatever. I'm not really worried about that outside of the fence that we built around it.
Yeah, like
now.
there does need to be the fence.
Okay, so for these, the resequencing, we can do that, but only in that phase. But as soon as you change phase or go through a combat, I think in a non-combat-y deck that just doesn't do a lot of combat, you pretty much just end your turn.
Yeah.
And now for my post main, I've skipped my combat. Like no one does that.
I do nothing, and now I pass to turn.
Yeah, because you do get a combat phase no matter what.
Right.
You know, I think those new loyal whatevers kind of bring that up because you go into your combat.
Yeah, because I think the unicorn gives you a card draw whether you're.
Yeah, or something, and then like the other one gives you like a Thopter. And yeah, there's a bunch of different ones. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I think we're basically saying as soon as you go into combat, that's that. You've got to play it out like any other fucking environment. You've chosen your attackers. Now it's time to deal with whatever comes with that. And it's really only death touch. I think I think it's the only thing that really causes the salt. You know, or I seen a double block. Like I think you sent one at me.
Yeah, so like double strike is another one that I think comes up.
Double strike, I guess, but like a double block where you sent one at me, and I guess you thought I just won't double block, but I did. I threw 2 under, and you're like, oh fuck! I actually didn't want my creature to die.
I remember having an instance like that, but yeah, if I recall, I think it rolled with it just because I had to.
Well, you did because you don't really pull back. It's not me and you. Like you don't really do that. You don't go, oh shit, I didn't know that. You've never done that. It's a people that will remain nameless that we've allowed to do it, and we're locking it down. Okay, MLD. What do we got? This is a kind of big one.
I still don't know.
I got this feeling we're not even gonna get anywhere on this one. Here's what I want to say. Okay, and this is. I don't know if it'll. So the spirit was, we want the game moving in the right direction, right? We don't want to like, all right, MLD, and then everybody just like is just slogging along while this one person kind of does a little bit of damage and we're all just whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think why we've kept it locked up was I'm worried about people playing it at the wrong time. So a lot of times when you hear about mass land destruction, there's a lot of people that will say, I don't care about it. And then the next sentence that's going to come out of their mouth is, just as long as everyone does it and they win soon. Right? So I'm not convinced that everyone knows
when that opportune
is. Yeah, when that moment is. I'm worried about people doing it because they're in a bitchy mood and they just do it and they're behind, so they're just going to pull everyone down to the level, which however you feel about that strategically, like it actually kind of makes sense to do that in some cases.
Yeah,
but I still don't want to happen.
But that works better with board wipes. Like everybody's developed creatures. I'm behind on creatures. Let me wipe the board and then we can all redevelop from the same space.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
Does it feel the same way when you destroy everybody's lands?
Or both? Like you Wrath of God and then whatever. Like I don't know. So there was that. I don't know if I trust people to know when to do it, where it's like they do it and they go, okay, you kind of see the writing on the wall. Like I have a lot of damage. I'm just going to keep going. Do you guys want to end it? Okay,
yeah.
We give it to you. Like I'd be okay if that was a scenario, but I don't trust people to do that.
Yeah.
I don't even trust myself to do it. If I've lost all night, I might be in a bitchy enough mood to fucking Just kidding. But yeah, so there's that. And then the other piece was, I guess the other, I don't know, this might have been, I don't see it now, but because we don't use like a lot of advanced mana bases, if I destroy that one person's swamp when that's the only black they're operating under, it's kind of a shitty move. Like it's funny to the guy who did it, but holy shit, you know what I mean? Like they fell into this one swamp and then everything else is just, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of cases where that was my only source of red or my only source of whatever.
So in our early days before we were like, this was fully codified, that happened a couple times. And there was one between you and Brad where you were holding a blue mana up in case you needed to counter a spell, if I recall correctly.
Oh, this was bad. Yeah.
Brad destroyed your island knowing
either he counters it
and he's got a counter spell.
Yeah.
Because whatever was following that destruction was what Brad really wanted to be able to do.
Right.
That game, I don't believe, ended well.
No, there was an infamous art. We were like shouting at each other because it was a rule before he did it. You know,
yeah,
it was already a rule. Like I just said, you can't target basic. So I actually want to go back to what our original thought was, which is basic lands are protected.
Yeah.
Everything else is free game.
I think we had some moments where there was some kind of split land, was like you were just describing, was somebody's only source of a particular color in their deck type. And yeah, that slows somebody down. If you want to tempo somebody, tempo their colors.
Yeah. Initially my thought was that's a shitty thing to do, but let me be the devil's advocate about that piece. So scenario, right? You are playing your Teysa thing, right?
Okay.
You have a godless shrine and a bunch of planes. So your only black source is that.
Yeah.
I'm playing a mono red deck and I want to cast Ruination. So it's asymmetric enough. I only have mountains and I want to pull you back down to my red ass level.
Yeah.
That's the scenario I actually want, because I think that red, this is a strength of red that we just haven't been tapping into. So like Ruination, things like that. Yeah. There's a nicer one that lets you replace it with a basic.
Or like Blood Moon, dude.
Well, yeah. I don't know if I have the money for that. And honestly, Blood Moon works against people with a lot of money. That's who it works against.
Yeah.
The people with, I don't ever run any basics in my decks. They are the people that fucking hate Blood Moon. They're the people that lose their mind about Blood Moon because they want to do everything 5 and 4 color. And they want to load their deck full of all the gold that they've put into the deck and all of the freaking whatever. Those are the people that hate Blood Moon. I don't actually think Blood Moon would be that impactful in our group.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might.
That's why Contamination's never been worth the money either, because we have a lot of black in our group, and it's like, you know.
Yeah, okay, I'll roll with that.
I actually don't think it'll be that hardcore, but Ruination, at least, I know eventually you'll find a way to replace it.
Sure.
It's not your only, you know what I mean?
But it puts me off. It takes me out of the equation.
It might not even be worth it for me to even run it. I want that. That's what I want.
I'm open to that conversation. I think the land destruction thing is one where I'm always just kind of like, can we put a pin in it, make them do some more paperwork and apply for an extension? Like, I just want to put changes on that one, like on like bureaucratic backlog.
We got pretty close to like completely unlocking it last year because we were frustrated with.
But we felt like there were players in the group
we
that
just couldn't trust them
might not be able to handle it. I'm comfortable with that. If we roll back to like basic lands
are safe,
everything else is fair game.
Everything else is fair game.
I think it makes people better deck builders too, because you got to be ready, right?
Or they just run more basic. Or, they're like, I guess I just want to put the fear of God into them for being greedy with their colors. You know? So I'm kind of like, I keep thinking about, AP kind of strains this a little bit. He will include more and more colors because he wants access to better and better things.
Well,
and that's great because he knows he can fix his mana. We've got a ton of tools now that fix your mana. A lot of them are artifact based that get you the right mana. And I don't think that cards like Ruination or anything that targets advanced lands threatens that. But at least this way I want him thinking like, okay, but if I have an opening hand and all I've got is a bunch of advanced lands, and I call dual lands, advanced lands, anything that's not basic, I got to think, what if Andy has a Ruination? I could really just end up with nothing.
Here's the other thing too that comes to my mind is how often do you take a greedy first hand that doesn't maybe quite have the land base in it that it should have, because you've got dope cards and you just kind of land into that one source of that color.
Yeah, this will punish that. You're absolutely, this will punish it. It might not completely lock them out of the game. I think eventually they're going to find
they're going to get into it, but it screws you over for being greedy about that opening hand.
Yeah, so in those turns, I'm able to like kind of get a little bit of advantage that I couldn't tap into before. So I think we'll pull that out to them, saying like,
yeah,
you can target and destroy any land that's just not basic.
Yeah.
Because a basic land's like, I don't want to have the scenario where, yeah, you've got a swamp and 2 plains and I destroy your swamp. Like that's not really what I'm interested in doing.
Sure.
But if you've got a godless shrine and all I'm using is mountains, like, you know, I'm a peasant, man. Sorry.
I'm pulling you back down.
Yeah. Like take your godless shrine.
Shove it up your
beehole. All right. Shove it up your godless shrine. That's right, Kyle. That's right. You heard it first. Kyle's butthole's name is now
it's the godless shrine.
The godless shrine. That's what we're gonna call it now. All right. Anything else rules wise that we probably want to talk about? I think that's all of them. Right?
That's about it. Yeah, like we're pretty lax rules.
Okay,
for the most part.
So let's expand this up a little bit to just
challenges
that also we're kind of dealing with, and they're not really rules. This might be more of just
let's get into the subjective nitty gritty.
Yeah, our favorite thing to talk about, subjectivity. So we've got some kind of play behaviors going on lately that we're not really super into, and I think we've been kind of like orbiting them, trying to think of creative ways of addressing them, but not really like just explicitly having that crucial conversation that we're just tired of this kind of shit going on.
We just sit somebody down.
And these aren't rules.
Look,
this is just
stop being a little bitch.
A little bit. Yeah. Like there's certain people that are guiltier than others. There's certain people that are, they're white as snow. You know, they're innocent.
There is.
And then there's other people.
There's no Jesus sitting at this table, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody's guilty.
Right. Let's start with the first behavior that's been kind of bugging me. I called it our competitive rivalry between 2 players.
And there's a few different pairs, huh?
Right. So we've kind of noticed that some of the people that we play with, they kind of pair off a little bit. And they don't go pair off to, you know, have fun and make out in a tree somewhere. They pair off to I don't know, punch each other in the face.
Yeah, like they're over there Rochambeauing each other like
yeah. So the first one I think is Brad and Tiff. For whatever reason, Brad and Tiff have like this. They
have a blood feud.
Yeah, they have a blood feud. And I don't know if it's something going on outside the game or whatever, but yeah, it seems like Brad will target Tiff early and often. He wants to establish dominance early and often.
You must establish dominance.
Yeah, it is very, you know, Caesar-esque what he's trying to do. The other pairing is me and you. Like
turns out
we have a pretty bad rivalry between me and you, right? And it's
all this time we spend sitting with each other talking about the decks we're going to build.
It has not.
It's laying out battle plans every week for each other for sure.
Yeah, and then the last one I think is Cam and AP, and it's not. I mean, you can see that in that gameplay video. Like, you know, I think it was because they've been kind of rivals at work a little bit, whether they'll admit that or not. But like they have been, you know. And he's like, "You're not going to take this away from me. You know? I can't win you out here, I'm going to win you.
I'm the alpha at the magic table, dude."
Yeah. So, how do we handle this?
Like, I don't know, because I think one of the problems to me with something like this is perception. And by that I mean
perception that it's even happening.
Well, like there's always a little inherently when there's some kind of dualistic thing like this, you view it in right and wrong, as in I'm in the right, you're in the wrong, and like whether you admit it or not, that's happening when I think something like this happens. And so usually we notice the things that the other person is doing to make that rivalry or perpetuate that rivalry
Yeah.
more than we notice the things we ourselves are doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know what you do about that. Like, cause they're kind of like, to me, they're uncomfortable conversations. It'd be like, yeah, you've actually won more than you think you've won
Tonight.
like,
I'm not trying to stop you from winning. So let's start with just me and you, because we're in the room, which is probably an easier one to hash out.
that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think going back, if we went back pre-podcast, I don't actually think that I had a problem with you. I don't think I don't remember ever being like, fucking goddamn Kyle.
No,
I don't remember ever thinking that you had your head so far up your godless shrine that I didn't ever think that. Like, it was actually Brad that was my problem. He was my rival player.
I mean, it's a fraternal kind of thing.
Yeah, because he's my brother. But yeah, but since doing this, what I've noticed is, your decks have gotten a lot better, and about, and this is just your dualistic thing. You know what I'm up to because we talked about it on an episode, or I've been brainstorming with you, or whatever. Like, you're included in my deck building and construction reality more than anyone. Yeah,
we're both in each other's in the thick of things with each other.
So the things that bother me is that when I put something down that's fairly innocuous to no one else who studies this goddamn game, right away. Alarms, alarms are going off.
Guys, oh God.
So originally your way of dealing with was, guys, okay, so here's how this combo is going to work out, guys. He doesn't have these other 5 fucking pieces yet, but oh my God, let me tell you.
Watch out.
And so all of them are like, oh shit, like if he's got Ashlon's Altar and the Nim Death Mantle and this other thing, that's how it would go.
Right.
And then I called you out on that. I'm like, dude, I can't have you shot calling me. Like, if they don't know the fucking combo, that's their problem. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
So you were like, all right, like, okay, yeah, you're right. I won't do that anymore. So you won't. Instead, you just break it the second it comes out. Like, you're just like, nope, I'm just deleting it. So it's a problem because all of mine and yours card advantage is just getting dumped at each other.
It's true.
And the people that basically, like, they're winning more often because you and I
we're managing each other.
Yeah, we're sword fighting with our cocks over here. Like, that's really what's going on.
My Schwartz is bigger than your
Schwartz.
Schwartz.
Exactly. Like, we gotta figure out how to handle our Schwartz. I just don't know how to do this because I'm guilty of that. So we're both doing that now. So when you resolve something, I'm just like, I gotta fucking kill it.
Right.
Because I know, like, it's just gonna spiral out.
Right.
And I don't really like try to politic with you or anything. I'm just like, I just gotta kill it. And that's where me and you are trying to change our deck building philosophy is, can I even politic with a card like this?
Right.
So like Wound Reflection, like this one, I've been like looking at this one in my Marquesa list, and I'm like, I don't know if I can explain this one away, even though I can't really go, hey Kyle, your opponents lose twice as much life.
Go at them, dude.
So you get way more damage if you just don't attack me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's good enough. You're like, yeah, no, because I lose it too if they attack me. Like,
and in the end, I'm going to be alone with you with a much lower life total.
Yeah, it's a tyrant. It's a tyrant card. It's an easy thing for you guys to agree. Okay, let's just attack Andy. Let's just remove this, whatever. So I'm relying on it for some combos. Like I'm relying on it to do combos, but I actually can't because it gets you either remove it right away or whatever. So we're trying to get away from cards like that.
So. Yes, I think you're right. Like, we're trying to get away from the tyrant stuff, and I think I've been trying to do
like your emblems on your planeswalkers.
Yeah.
So with Will and Rowan Kenrith, they're like, there is no way for you to bargain to keep me from trying to take it away from you.
Right.
You can't go, oh well, I will. Like, there's nothing you can fucking say to me, dude, that will make it so I don't try to stop that ultimate from popping off.
Yeah. So I completely redesigned the deck so I can just
do without it.
I benefit just going up and down.
Yeah,
with those planeswalkers.
And if it happens, great. But if it doesn't, you can do without it.
Yeah, like if I can sneak through and get those emblems, I'm freaking jazzed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. So let me pose a question here to you, Andy.
Dude, I don't want a question. I want a solution. What are we gonna do? This one's going on for a while, man.
It has.
I can't stand playing with your ass anymore. We gotta fix it.
So why are we so scared of letting each other sniff victory?
I don't know. Because I don't win ever.
Because I think that to me is kind of like,
what are you saying? Like you think that we're scared of each other just letting him have it? Like, do you
Well,
want to
no, because
just be like two ships passing the night? Like,
no. I think what's happened here is you and I have become so entrenched in each other's details
yeah,
that we don't let each other even kind of develop quite often.
yeah, we're like just hampering quickly,
And
it's not working. Like,
no,
you and I are winning less and less.
Yeah, because the thing about it is that, like, I think before you and I knew and understand, I've always kind of said it this way, like, to me, I sort of have like a clock going on about you before I knew all the details of what you were doing, that, like, I could kind of sense Andy's meandering towards victory. Because usually you make your combos pretty deep, and like it's you don't do anything that's just like quick and cut people's throats.
Yeah.
So I would usually wait until it was truly problematic to me to deal with you. But now I think there is a higher frequency of, oh, that thing is part of a problem. Or
So
it's
I'm just gonna nip it.
I'm just going to
now.
stop it now.
Yeah.
What am I afraid of? Like, why am I afraid of letting you just play? Because it's not stopping. Like, you're not, that card isn't making you win the game now.
Yeah.
Like, so why don't I let you just go? I don't know. I don't.
Maybe I need to be maybe about this. Like, maybe this is another. I like that idea, but maybe we put out like, hey man, I see you've got a part of whatever you're trying to do. I have removal. When it comes online, just be ready for me to deal with it. So until then, like,
Cheerio,
knock yourself out. But know that, like, I'm not going to let you pop off. We don't have a lot of infinites anyway. It's just something that's like a really difficult value engine that you've put together, or whatever, you know. Or,
yeah.
I don't know. I think if I just tell you, like, I'm up, I know what you're up to, and I'm choosing not. I have removal or something, and I'm choosing not to use it. Maybe you and I need to get better at communicating our political.
Because I think that's the thing is you and I have ceased to be political with each other.
No, yeah, we're not. We're not political at all. It's like we're playing a game of 1v1 regular Magic.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just deal with the flies. Because, yeah, like you lately, well, not lately. I think last year, you were my biggest problem. I wasn't really threatened by what was going on a lot of the time.
Sure.
By the decks that were at the table. But things have changed. Definitely have changed. AP is a fucking problem, and so is Cam. Cam has consistently brought decks where it's like, oh my god, and he doesn't include me in any of his deck building stuff. Like I love brainstorming with AP. AP gets so passionate about a deck. He's like, dude, this is gonna be dope. Like he'll just keep bringing it up, and like you can tell it's like on his mind. Cam's just like, I'm doing Yenit,
and you're like,
and then 3 weeks later he just pulls it out, and then
is
that Yenit? Yes. And he'll just like play it, and you're like, wow, these are really good card picks, man. You know, I wish I could have heard about this.
Yeah, I wish I was prepared. No,
it's not even a preparation thing. Like, I like hearing about the construction. I love it.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
Like, I like talking about deck building. Like, deck building is like my passion.
Yeah,
but Cam just doesn't do that. He'll just be like, yeah.
He's just gonna show up and tell you that he set up the bomb.
He'll talk about problem decks, I think, ones that just aren't working. He'll be like, yeah, I just don't know if this is really gonna work or whatever.
Sure.
But ideas that he's like noodling out, he keeps his cards kind of face down. He doesn't really let you see what he's up to.
Let me kind of try and bring this, competitive rivalries full circle.
Yeah, we better,
because I think we all have an impulse to just engage it. And especially if you've been the recipient of the first blow. I know this is one I do to you quite often.
You're retaliatory a little bit after a while.
Where I'll be like, okay, Andy hasn't been letting me set some of this stuff up, so I'm just going to make it so he can't play. But if I just
talk you, like, hey man, I got to get rid of it. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like, so we have
then
that.
You're like, yeah, right.
We have that first impulse. That's going to be there. I don't think that's going away. But I think we should engage that conversation a little more. Because I would rather let people play. Personally, I want to win, but I'd rather let people play and sniff victory a little more.
Okay.
So let's engage the politics.
Let's just, I don't know. We got to learn from somebody else on that one, me and you. Maybe I need to look at something because I think what my plan will be is I'm going to tell you I have answers.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't have answers, like I don't want to shot call and be like, guys, like I'll just be like, I don't have an answer.
Sure.
You know, I want the table to be asking questions about what's going on, though. I wish somebody would do that, but no one. I think it kind of leads to the back to that whole combat problem. Like a lot of
Ask
people are
what's
just
on the board.
they're just focused on doing what they're doing, and they don't really care, and they're just trying to pop off.
Yeah, you
and
need
in
to
the end,
ask.
Like, dude, I don't know if you noticed, but these guys they pop, like their decks are good. You probably want to know about what you need to remove.
Yeah.
You know, Brad actually doesn't like that when people, what is it? He calls it crowdsource their removal. Where they're like, all right, guys, I got a Cross and Grip. What's the threat? He fucking hates that. Like, he hates that. He's like, you should fucking know. Like, he doesn't like that. You know? But I honestly would rather have it be that way, where everyone's like, every time we've landed on a target, I'm like, yeah, that was the right target. I've never been like, oh, that was the wrong target. Even if it was mine. Yeah, you need to grip my paradox engine.
Even if it is restating that question just a little bit, I've got a Cross and Grip. These are what I'm thinking of removing. What do you guys think? All right. Okay. So competitive rivalry. Let's. I feel pretty good about that. Like, let's engage the conversation a little more, because I think all around the table, everybody needs to be a little more aware. Ask what those things are.
Yeah. Let's talk about why is that in your deck?
And then
if someone
also,
goes, I don't know, then go, okay, I need to remove it.
Let's have a conversation.
If they don't tell you why it's in the deck, then just
it's
remove
good,
because
get
they're
rid
trying.
of it.
Yeah,
they're obfuscating something.
I'll tell you. I do downplay stuff. I'll be like, I do need these other 3 pieces, but yes, if it does come online, you guys will.
Yeah,
have
I
a
don't
hard
think
time
any of us
with it.
lie about what we're doing.
I never lie.
Yeah, like we always will tell you where we're going.
I never lie. I only lie when we play Kingdoms, and I don't like playing Kingdoms.
You don't like Kingdoms,
so yeah.
So let's talk removal shaming, Andy.
Yeah, so this is a big one. The biggest people that do it are Brad and you. You're the biggest removal shamers.
Yep.
Yeah. So if something gets removed and you're like, that was the wrong fucking what?
I'm like, you're removing this when you should remove that.
I think it comes from a space that you feel powerless and you don't have removal, and that's why you're mad that Tiff used it on. Because Tiff's she's got an itchy trigger finger. She
does. She removes stuff
a little bit
with frequency.
I think with that last gameplay video that we put out, she restrained herself. She eventually did it when she was ready. I really wish she played her goddamn Rhystic Study taxes, though, for fuck's sake. But,
right?
Yeah. I think, so we know it's a problem. We don't really need to describe it. People get mad when one other person A gets mad when person B removes person C's permanent when it needed to be person D. Because
your perspective on what should be removed is subjective. It's completely subjective, right?
Sometimes.
Whether there is something that is objectively better on the board, your perspective on it is completely subjective.
Okay. Yeah.
You're always invested in not having your things removed.
Yeah.
And somebody else's. And so like, you got to check, like, I need to check that at the door.
How do we provision this one?
I need to bite my tongue, dude.
Is it removal shaming or just saying, hey, this is probably a better target? Or do we say nothing? Like, is the rule saying, like, as soon as something's loaded up and the target is chosen, I will
tell you why I have been vocal. Sometimes it's just coming out of me because I don't want my shit removed. But I think a lot of times I'm coming from a space of I either want to educate or propose that you maybe haven't assessed the entire board.
So I'm going to use a really shitty example for what I think the philosophy should be. So it was a game that came out in like the early aughts. It was a game called Jade Empire. And it was this RPG where it's set in like China, like an Asian type kind of thing.
Okay.
And how it graded or monitored your morality. So you know how like some games have like a morality scale, right?
Sure.
So if you do bad deeds, you become infamous, or if you do good deeds, you become famous, or evil or good or whatever. Well, their ones was like the scale of what they called the way of the open palm or the way of the closed fist. Because, you know, they're trying to be painfully Asian here, right? So the way of the open palm is, you know, you help people, you try to educate them and help them avoid mistakes.
Sure.
The way of the closed fist, which is you just being an evil bastard, is they should learn from their mistakes, and things should just reach its natural end. So if they should just know better. Otherwise, they're not going to learn. So I'm thinking we need to go way of the closed fist about removal. If I have a paradox engine out and Tiff can't be bothered to know what that thing does, if she chooses the wrong target, she's going to learn pretty quickly that she made the wrong target by losing the game. It sucks that you're going down with her is the difference.
Sure.
You know, but it's not your spell. You needed to draw it.
But here's the thing is that if we're going to go by our parameters around rolling back, if you're interacting with somebody else's permanence, you can't roll back. So why am I trying to have this conversation?
Yeah.
Like there's no value in me saying, no, you should remove the paradox engine. I think you're right, because I've been going this, I think the open hand route of like, a lot of times, I know there's some times where I'm just like, I'm just being a little bitch about it.
Yeah, I know.
Frankly. But I think a lot of times I'm trying to point out like, yeah, my Gilded Lotus is not as big of a problem as the paradox engine. It's just not.
Yeah, it's just not. So
like,
I think our
but letting that play out,
attitude should be like, all right. And you can't be like, well, watch us die. Like, it can't be that either.
Oh, no, because that's the same thing.
You know, maybe in post game or everything's folding up, just say, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but like, if you would have Crossing Gripped his paradox engine, he wouldn't have been able to do any of that shit. Or it would have slowed down. Or if you would have Crossing Gripped or destroyed or whatever, like the removal shaming doesn't need to happen in the game, because I think it just adds a little bit more salt to the soup, dude.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and salt begets salt.
And pretty soon you're just eating ocean water.
Yeah, you're eating ocean water, and you know, you're blowing out your godless shrine on the on the beach. You know? So yeah, we'll just try it that way. Where
I like that. Like,
as soon as it's targeted, you're just like, okay, and you can't say fuck all. You can't be like, that was the wrong thing.
Because these are tandems, right? Like it's not going to get rolled back anyways.
Yeah. If they crowdsource, are you okay with if they will go like, I don't know what to remove, guys. What should I do?
I'm fine with crowdsourcing. Okay. And even still, like if they come at me, like,
this isn't really a huge problem. It was in our early days, but not. I don't think it's a huge. It does happen here and there, but I don't think this one's like a behavior that's way off target. Like I don't.
No, but it happens.
Yeah, you and Brad are pretty mean when it comes to.
Yeah, I lose tact when it comes to that.
Well, you'll do it with me, and I'll be like, I have a plan. You think I'm an idiot? Like I have a reason why.
And yeah, and usually you.
And then a couple turns later, I'll be, oh yeah.
and turns out Andy's not a fucking idiot.
Sometimes I do forget stuff where I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot they even had that out there, and that's my fault. Way the close fist.
Yeah.
You know. All right.
Yeah.
We've already covered some of this other stuff. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about the graveyards for our house rules.
Well, we did kind of, but we didn't like say whether we didn't decide if we want to keep that rule in place.
So
should we decide that?
I think we definitely fucking should, man. And I'll have one word for you, Moldrotha.
So yeah,
like,
I think there's
Moldrotha
two things.
Moldrotha and Carador are like a fucking problem, and they can absolutely deal with those permanent types.
So I think you were sharing this a while back. If I recall, I think Cam was online talking a little bit about his Moldrotha build.
Yeah.
And some people qualified in the thread, in the conversation, like, oh, you're going to have some trouble with
Rest in Peace or whatever.
These things.
You want Caustic Caterpillar.
And he specifically said, yeah, those things aren't allowed in our play group. And they're like, oh, well, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. And one guy said, I think you're going to strain that house rule for them. And sure enough, the dude was right.
Certainly.
So let's just talk about right away what decks completely cave in if we put this rule in.
Can I interject before I say that though?
Okay, what?
Like I think the reason we did that is from a similar spirit of why there is a banned list in all formats of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
In that most of the time what they're looking at is they're trying to make it so that the meta game is open to as many archetypes as possible. And so we were trying to make sure graveyard-centric decks.
Yeah, I think the space we came from was the right space.
Yeah.
But what's happening is I think people are exploiting graveyards.
Our graveyards, we lean heavily towards that.
Everybody is running
the meta
some
game.
kind of graveyard orient. Like the list is too long for me to even list them off.
Yeah.
Everybody's using them to one capacity or another.
Yeah.
I can say this though, like even if we unlock those cards, I actually don't know if I'd even put them in my decks. One, Leyline of the Void is actually really expensive. I don't think I'm going to be like, yes, I can finally go out and spend $50. I'm not dying to go get that card. The one I want to use, if I'm just being honest, is Grafdigger's Cage. That's the one I want. because it can get hit by red. So the only color that's left out
Mm-hmm.
is black. You know, black's the
Sure.
only one that can't really grab it. You know, so the two decks that cave to this is Chainer and Charade. Those are the two that like.
Yeah, but
But they got tutors. Go grab something.
Yeah.
Meteor Golem is now a card.
I have thoughts about tutors, but yeah. You're right. I think it's time. Because I just don't think the problem that these types of decks present.
They outvalue all of the other decks that aren't doing it.
Yes.
8.5 Tails cannot keep up with this shit. I can't do it.
No.
I can barely draw enough cards to keep up with you guys, let alone deal with the reoccurring. Oh my God.
Here's the other thing it does is it actually kind of cuts off. I mean, mill strategies are already a long shot, but it makes them all the more painful if you can't have these types of cards programmed into your mill deck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it adds some permanence.
Like
to the mill.
I've played Fenax like once in the last 6 months. 6 months because
so you'd put Graph Digger's Cage in that deck?
Yeah,
and just like, okay, they're in there and they're locked.
Yeah. Graph Digger's Cage. I mean, there's already some things that like, you know, like Undead Alchemist kind of like sort of does that for me a little bit.
Yeah.
But Graph Digger's Cage would be helpful.
See, but I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Tormud's Crypt and Nihil Spellbomb have been enough for me. Like, just the threat of it being there. I've had it out and like,
but
they're playing around me going, oh shit, oh shit, oh
but
shit.
I want
and they know
the
I can just do
density
it.
of those things to be a little more broad. Like if I'm talking Fenax, like I would have Planar Void, I would have Graph Digger's Cage, and yeah, Nihil Spellbomb is there. But you know, like I want to be sure that I can manage those things if I'm playing those types of things. And it'll make you a better deck builder.
Yeah, you're gonna have to figure.
You're gonna have to find answers for those things if you start seeing them more often.
I honestly don't think I'd change what I'm running. Like now that I'm like really thinking about the tools I have available.
And
I think the Graph Digger's Cage I can, but I don't know if I'd really want to put Rest in Peace even in 8.5 because I still have like the Sun because it's symmetric. It's right.
Yeah, White actually is strangely interested in graveyards quite a bit.
A little bit.
And
Sun
so,
Titan,
Tashar's pretty into it.
Like I don't know if I want to nuke my own yard.
And you've got a lot of things like Monk Idealists and stuff that are bringing enchantments back. So you're not necessarily going to see like all of a sudden every deck that runs White is going to have Rest in Peace in it. Like I don't think it's going to change the face of the decks that we're going up against. It's just there's a few more tools to deal with a problem that's gotten out of hand.
All right, well that was an easy one. So it's unlocked. We're saying go out and buy your $50.
Fuck yes, I'm going to be
Leyline of the Void.
editing all my decks now that I've talked.
Leyline of the Void in every black deck. Here we go. All right. Is there any other thing that we need to go over?
Well,
that's been itching your godless shrine.
My godless shrine. I don't have an itchy godless shrine. I don't know what the fuck are you talking about?
Shut the fuck up! So.
So this is something that I kind of added to our notes that I think is worth talking about.
Okay.
Because I think it manifests in a few different ways. And this is people playing approximate to each other. And this comes, I think, in the decks.
I don't know if we can solve this one though. Can we?
Well, I think
it's as leaders of the format, you and I, it's up to me and you to do
I think that is the case. And I think that's maybe why I want to talk it through here a little bit. Specifically, I think this manifests in a few ways, but the easiest way to put it out there is budget versus non-budget.
Yep.
Because we've started a budget league where, you know, like we've talked about it plenty. Like we've kind of landed on the deck value has to be under 75, no single card over $5.
Yeah.
In the deck. And so we started to see.
Well, you can have 5 and some
$5.99.
Yeah, $5.99.
Like we're salespeople here.
Weirdly, it's hard to get. Like, there's some cards that are just like, okay, it's $5.25.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like, well, it's
just probably an economics thing.
Anyway, like we've talked about this that like we've landed in this weird space where we haven't fully fleshed out a budget league because people have 2 or 3 decks. Some people have only one deck that's a budget deck that they really like to play, and they don't want to play that every fucking time.
Right, yeah. They want off of it.
Yeah. And so we end up with these games where there's people that like, they put some work into a budget deck and they want to play it. And there's other people that are like, I've only got one budget deck. I don't want to play it. So
I don't want to play it.
So we let them play their non-budget deck and we get this mishmash game, and budget always wins, dude. Budget always fucking wins.
Oh, you mean non-budget?
I mean non-budget.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
That's
the
what I meant.
budget wins. I get what you're saying. I get
having
what
the
you're saying.
bigger budget
Yeah, the bigger budget.
wins.
Okay, so what can you and I even do about that?
Well, I
'Cause-
think we need to push this forward a little bit further, right? Like everybody needs to have enough budget decks to where we can have the budget game. It's cordoned off into its own little thing, and then we can go on with non-budget.
Maybe we need to revisit why we even want to do budget.
That's a
I
good
think
point.
it was we wanted to see different cards.
Yeah.
It was try to like, let's have weird decks. Like, I think I really wanted to call it, we should really just call it the Jank League, but Jank is so subjective. It was, that's not Jank. That's actually good. Like, we can't really say that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was kind of fostering that, you know.
It was
but
a way to kind of push a different experience.
and I think it worked.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot less.
Yeah. So I was listening to this podcast the other day. This is a really weird diversion. Sorry. It's kind of a niche podcast. They were talking about how there's these people talking about how they collected just this shit ton of data about the perspectives of Mormons in different generations.
Okay.
So you know, we live in Utah. You and I both brought up in the Mormon community, right? But like, so I was fascinated. But one of the really weird facts that came out of it was that millennials believe that most millennial Mormons kind of believe that you should have sex with your underwear on.
What?
And if you're familiar with Mormon underwear, that covers quite a bit of real estate. Quite a bit of real estate. Their perception of sex is just this really weird thing.
Wait. My generation.
Yeah,
Your
they're
generation.
skewing towards the younger millennials is what they're talking about.
Oh,
People like
okay.
early 20s.
So the fucking annoying millennials.
Specifically
the ones I
people
wanna kill.
Mormons that haven't had sex yet.
Yeah.
Their conception is, you should be doing that with your underwear on, dude. Just pull it out of the hole. That's where you're
How did this
going.
even come out? Like, how did they get people to talk about how do you want to have sex?
Well, it was just this big
Also, what
survey
religion
that
are
it
you?
did with several thousand Mormons. That some there's a couple scholars, like one in Ohio or something like that ran this. Anyway, but
yeah, how does this have to do with what?
so what I'm getting at is I feel like something like the budget and non-budget thing is you have people coming to the table with very different expectations. There's one person coming to the table expecting to have sex with their underwear on, and there's somebody else coming in with their leather and whips.
I mean, you can keep your underwear on for that too.
And they're not playing for the same
Look,
experience,
dude, I don't want
dude.
my godless shrine exposed when there's leather and whips in the room. Okay, this is just a practical thing.
That's
I use
fair.
my godless shrine for other things.
It needs to be preserved.
Yeah, you see? I get what you mean. Like, you're trying to, the expectation, however, I get it.
There's very different experiences that are coming based off of the type of deck that's coming to the table, right?
What if we just say this night is for budget only, period?
Sure.
And then the next night is for not budget.
Or if we
only,
just said
period.
we're having one budget game every game night, and then the rest is non-budget or whatever
But
it
the
is.
problem is that I can't stop somebody from not coming off of it. Like, I'm actually kind of annoyed that, okay, that was it. And then the last guy wants to stay on his weak ass deck. And then
Sure.
he gets all fucking annoyed when he gets his ass rocked. You know, his godless shrine rocked.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's the part. I think that's the part that causes the problem. Or one guy just comes off and three stay on. That's actually the worst.
Oh yeah.
Where there's three
Three
lower
budget
scale
decks.
budget decks, and then the one that isn't, it just runs the table on those other three. Because those other three are trying to manage each other a little bit.
Prepare
you
to
know?
get shredded.
Yeah, prepare your godless shrine. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to solve this one other than flat telling somebody, yeah, this is not a budget game. We have to basically say, if this is a budget game, is it not a budget game?
Yeah.
If it's not a budget game, you can't play a budget deck.
I think that's probably what needs to happen, because we've kind of created this weird.
Because I don't trust you to keep the salt off the table.
Yeah, because we've created this kind of bifurcated play zone, right? Where people are playing different sports.
I think this is a one guy problem. I don't think this is a rest of us problem. I think this is a Brad problem. Brad is, let's just be honest. That's what this is about.
Brad really likes budget.
Brad really likes sticking on his, like, he just loves them. He likes janky, not janky, but he likes neat stuff. But then he gets mad when, you know, God, it's fucking blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, you're playing a deck that's not even a quarter of the cost of one of my cards in here.
Which, you know, fucking, like, you deserve a medal, but yeah, this is the outcome.
If you win, yeah, like, you know, you'll get a medal, okay? But you're not going to win, so shut the fuck up. Because Cam will stay on it, and he's fine. And he'll be, like, halfway through, and he'll be like, God, I probably should not have kept this deck. I'm getting my ass kicked. He has a better... I think we just need to talk to that guy about it. Like, if you're going to stay on and you watch the other three go to their power decks and you're not able to keep up,
prepare your
weirdly,
ass.
it actually works out, though, because they kind of ignore this peasant. Like, they're like, yeah, all right. And then they keep fighting each other, and you might come in second.
Sure.
You're probably not going to win. You're going to come in second.
Most likely.
Which is really not a thing in our group.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever says, well, it came in second.
No one ever says that. It's like you either won or you didn't, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
So, but I think this manifests in other ways, though, where you've got some people coming in their leathers and some people coming in their long underwear.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know. The other thing that I was kind of thinking about is, and this is, I don't think there's a way that we're going to solve this as much as by example and discussion, maybe, is there's a difference between really tutor heavy decks and decks that are just kind of like running their course.
Tutors definitely push up the I mean, you hear this from everybody. Like, it pushes up the consistency. So, and they're expensive. The good ones.
Yeah.
The good ones are expensive.
So,
and they are better. Like, I've now starting to buy some of the better tutors in my, you know, my older years now that I can afford them. Right. And yeah, like, they're better. The play experience with the demonic tutor is vastly different than one with a diabolic tutor.
So, so I went to EDH Rec's top cards page for black.
Okay.
Let's go through this.
All right.
What's the top card in black?
Wait, are we in another segment or are we still talking about...
No, I'm still talking about this because I just want to illustrate something that's going on.
Thing. All right.
So number 1, demonic tutor. Number 2, Phyrexian Arena. Number 3, diabolic tutor. Number 4, vampiric tutor. A $60 card is the number 4 played black card.
God damn.
You know, and then you go down and you just kind of realize how many of these types of cards there are. There's Sidisi Undead Vizier. There's a Rune Scarred Demon. Then there's stuff that's kind of like a little more niche that gets stuff into your graveyard, like Buried Alive.
Yeah.
Like there's, and I guess
Buried Alive's the tutor. I consider it a deck that has Buried Alive in it. Didn't do it by accident.
No. But I guess
it says graveyard? Fuck. Damn.
Whoops. Didn't realize. My point being here, like there is a difference between somebody that's like running a lot of tutors, a really consistent deck, and just other decks. And I don't know if this is, to me, like, this is really subjective, but like, I guess I wanted to bring it up with you because I think there's a little bit of an example thing that goes on because it can change the tone of any particular meta. If you've got people that are playing really tutor heavy decks, especially if you're bringing new people in, because I think using tutors is a little more advanced. Maybe, like, because you know what you're looking for.
I'd say it's kind of like a mid-tier skill is what to tutor and when. I think it's a mid-tier. I think it's not like...
but it's not something that you as a new player are going to understand what to do with it.
Or the value of it.
Yeah.
I think when you come into from a 60 card format, you're like, why would you waste your mana? And then it doesn't take you long to go, yeah, there's way more cards and I only have 1 copy.
Yeah.
You know, and then when somebody says the whole adage like, well, tutor's basically like a second copy of everything in your deck, like, then you're like,
yeah,
not really, because once that first copy gets dealt with, the tutor isn't, well, unless you have recursion. So yeah, I get, so what are we saying here? Like,
I think the thing to me is like, I want to pose, I suppose, maybe a philosophical question of like, are we the type of meta that wants to have, because our goal at the outset is that our meta charter is to make sure that we're having an enjoyable environment for people to play. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So does our environment want to have those decks that are just like super consistent, run the same way functionally each game, or do we want to have some variety? Are we building for variety?
I'm building for variety.
And so I'm not saying like, because you and I I think we were having a discussion a little bit about are there cards we would like to ban. And I don't want to ban tutors, but I personally enjoy my own decks a lot more when I'm not running them.
I think a lot of people are headed in this direction. I think people are becoming like, if you kind of look at one of, Jason's alts things is that he's like, you can have power or consistency, choose one. Like if you can play for power, but then you have to remove consistency.
Yeah.
Something that's powerful. I don't know how to really, there are decks where I'm like, I don't know how to do that,
Yeah.
because the power is in the consistency.
Sure.
At least to me, I think consistency is its own power.
Sure.
But then I think the route I usually take there is I build redundancy.
And see, that's the thing is going away from redundant combo or going away from like single usage combos to redundant combos.
I don't want to ban tutors, if that's what you're saying.
No, I said that. I don't
if somebody put a gun to my head and said, you've got to talk about tutors, I'd probably be wanting to talk about setting limits as to how many can be added in deck construction for us. So for me, I don't know, because card draw can be seen as like, if you go all in on card draw, it's more like a random tutor, right? Like eventually you're going to hit what you're looking for.
And I think that's the thing to me is that is the more advanced skill is like, can you balance your deck's card draw systems well enough to where you're going to get to what you need?
How many tutors do you generally run in a deck?
Tutors?
Because I actually don't know. How many do you do?
Tutors?
Yes.
Most of my decks don't have any. I have an Ikratimna. I think I have my Worldly Tutor and Ella Damri's Call.
So 2 in there.
I've removed.
What about Tishar?
I had the Enlightened Tutor for a little while, but I feel pretty consistent. I feel pretty good about. I wanted to make that deck easier for you guys to handle. I took the only tutor I have in it. I think is the artifact that you have to sack 3 artifacts. The Kadoltha Forge Master.
Okay, which that's pretty heavy. That one.
Yeah, that one has a hoop to jump through.
Yeah,
for
and
me to tutor.
it can be dealt with.
So that's the only one that's still there. Like I said, I did originally have the Enlightened Tutor in it.
Those are face up, aren't they? Don't you should reveal them, then put them at the top so we know?
Yeah. So
do you think that matters? Do you think there's a difference between face up and face down?
I don't. As an opponent, no, because I know that whatever you got isn't going to tickle me.
So you don't really care.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care what you tutor. I just know.
Like it might be a little more helpful for me to know if you're going to use it now or later. If you're tutoring something that's going to be a problem later, or if you're planning on playing it your next turn.
Okay.
But no matter what, it's not good. I'm not, like I say, I'm not trying to say that we should ban tutors, but I would like to at least make sure that we're having some kind of conversation to where you and I are planting the seed that you just have more fun with a deck for a longer period of time. Because if you have a deck that relies on tutors, you're going to get bored of it.
You will.
Because it will do the same thing.
Yeah, it will. You will. I feel like I either run a fuck ton of tutors in a deck or I don't run any at all. And by fuck ton, I mean like the commander is a tutor, like Zur.
Oh, sure.
But
you've built a really convoluted build for Zur.
True, yeah. Mine's a cycling deck. It does the whole astral slide thing. So
sure.
Mine is definitely like there's a lot of bumps in the road.
I think you've also become self-conscious about tutor commanders as well.
Yes.
And so I think you deviate from the ideal paths a lot of times. Like with Zur, you'll get out astral slide when it makes sense to get out astral slide. But from there, I couldn't tell you what I expect to see. I think maybe at some point I might see you choose to go the solemnity route.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's your only path with that deck. And so I'm not necessarily expecting you to do that.
Yeah, you don't really know what I'm going to be going for. And that's good. That's what I wanted from that deck.
Right.
I think that if I'm just kind of listing off the top of my head, like a couple of them that I got rid of Mersil because I felt like I was tutoring the same cards every game.
Yeah.
I think AP tutors the same cards with Entomb and Buried Alive. I think he just can't help himself. He's going to grab the stuff that's going to pop him off.
Yeah.
I've noticed that Tiff, when she's playing Carador, she doesn't actually reach for the same stuff. She seems like she's actually kind of like, I've seen her Buried Alive mana I've seen her actually go grab stuff that she just wanted to play out to get her mana. I think
Sure.
I think she's actually more into thinning her deck, making it so she just doesn't draw land anymore.
Sure.
I've noticed that she's engaging in that. So I'm not really unhappy with how she does it. Maybe it's just kind of like a.
But I've
be a dick with your tutors. I don't. How do you even?
That may well be, but there's some decks where you just can't help yourself. Like I remember.
Well, how do you call someone out on that? You fucking asshole.
Well, I don't think you call. I don't think you call them out. I just think it's a conversation outside of the game that happens where it's just like I'm doing with you. I'm kind of doing it right now where I'm just like, I don't have that many tutors. I have a couple copies of Tooth and Nail. They don't exist in any of my decks.
No, I took mine out too.
I don't use Tooth and Nail.
I don't like Tooth and Nail
anywhere. Because it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Oh, it's an amazing win condition. But that's all it is. It's like a one card. Okay.
Yeah.
Zendikar and Bahoom Boom every time.
Court of Calling. I pulled it out. Like,
I do Green Sun Zenith though, because it only grabs a green creature.
It's only a green creature.
And I weirdly like it in my opening hand because I can go grab like a mana dork.
Sure.
And then maybe I'll draw it later. I don't know.
That is actually interesting. But then there are things that like, I mean, obviously we don't want to include, like there's, you know, like Expedition Map. Like where do you kind of like draw the line?
Honestly,
because Expedition Map is,
I think this one's
pretty good.
I think this one's limiting itself because it sounds like you've kind of backed him off. I say like, I have them in powered down deck. Honestly, like the decks that have, so to finish my whole statement about whether I use a fuck ton or none.
Yeah.
It's the decks that are actually hard. There's a lot of hoops to get there that I have them in there. So recently, you know, Glissa, the trader, that one has a higher density of tutors because I kind of have to like get some parts. Otherwise this thing's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And like you have a Sun Forger package in your Queen Marquisa deck, like because
I probably do need actually more tutors in there because I only have one.
You fucking need answers.
I have Enlightened Tutor and then I have Insidious Dreams that requires I discard cards and they put them on the top. So I actually don't have that many.
But yeah, like the Sun Forger thing. I mean, we don't.
Do transmutes count? Do you?
You
have to reveal it and it has to match.
It has to match the CMC.
I love transmute.
I don't know.
I love transmute.
But because I think to me like it's kind of like it's like a religion thing, right? Like just decide what works for you.
Yeah, but decide if wearing underwear while you bang is for you.
Exactly.
Or boink. I heard some girl call it boink today. It's like they were like boinking. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she like whispers to me, like having sex. I was like, I have never heard it called boink before. I've heard pork. I've heard bang. I've heard all that. I haven't heard boink. All right. Well, while we're on the topic of cards, of just ones that I feel like we need to talk about.
Okay, let's do it, dude.
We need to talk about Rhystic Study.
That card's really fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the did you pay? 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 I'm tired of that. I'm tired of getting mad at the person that doesn't pay. I'm tired of the guy drawing cards because people don't pay. I'm just tired of the card. I'm tired of even having it in my deck. I actually didn't put it in Zur because I feel like it'd be my first target every fucking time. I need cards density for that deck to really hum because I'm cycling them away. So I want to draw into them. There is not enough tutors in the world to get all the cycling poundage into my deck or into my hand.
Yeah.
But there is Rhystic Study. So I didn't put it in because I'd be like, Andy,
you just don't have self-control.
You can't control yourself. You'll Rhystic Study every time. And that way I'm sitting there going,
did you pay? Did you pay? Did you pay? Did you pay? Did you pay?
Like every freaking time.
So last
I just want to ban it, dude.
Last game night that we had, I don't know, but I'm pretty confident Rhystic Study was a part of every game.
It's annoying.
Or damn near it.
It's annoying. I don't know what to do. I don't want to create the slippery slope that pulling that plug out and watching the water drain down the toilet does. Like, I want it to stop with Rhystic Study. Not, well, what about Mystic Remora and all these other ones that kind of like even orbit that? What about...
Yeah, Smothering Tithe is another one that people are probably going to lump into that subject in that question pretty quickly. Like,
I just don't... If you're going to put Rustic... Like, if you're going to put... Yeah, you're right. It's a slippery slope. Or an R of Silent. Well, R of Silent says they just flat require more.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to pay. I don't know, man. There's just something about that card that just bugs the shit out of me. And then the other thing is that if we can't ban it, then I really want to come up with a house agreement that whoever destroys it gets a big fucking reward. It's like a piñata from the rest of the people because they need to be incentivized to remove it.
Yeah.
For some reason, people aren't. I don't know. They rather just anguish themselves the rest of the game and pay more. They rather just float around the tax and hold that cross and grip for my Paradox engine later or something else that's game ending.
Sure.
But I would argue that this card is game ending because it's bogged you down that turn over turn, you've been unable to advance because you've been trying to pay around its costs.
That or it's given another person so many new options that they never would have had.
Or if someone isn't paying the costs, it's even worse. That transaction is horrifyingly bad. If I'm paying costs and you're paying costs and Tiff isn't paying costs, it kind of cancels out me and you paying costs a little bit. Yeah, he's not getting those 2 other cards, but he's still getting more cards than me and you, and he's still advancing more permanence.
Yeah, we're still playing behind.
And she is. We're playing behind both of them.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So the whole like, oh, everyone pay. I get that, but there's always the 1 or 2 times someone didn't, and I really don't know how to figure out like how much of a swing that causes.
Yeah.
For the guy who didn't and for the dude who drew. Or for the chick who drew and the 3 people that were like how far behind did they fall because they weren't paying her costs or whatever. Like
so
it's just oh my God.
So I don't think we're ever going to be able to argue away like the function of Rhystic Study and say that it needs to go away because of that. But if we're going back to our charter, the goal of our charter is to sustain an enjoyable play environment.
Every blue deck is playing it. We started calling it Cody Study because Cody played it. He some way
he plays blue.
He played it. Yeah, he plays blue like it's
almost primarily.
So it's always hitting the board. He'll just move it between decks. He'll be like, okay, we're going to play another game. And you can see him pulling out all of his blue staples and moving them into his next blue deck. And somehow, some way, we're going to see it. And it's just like, dude, it's fatiguing everybody. It's not that I think it's overpowered. It's not that I think any of that. I do think it's a fucking powerful card. It's just annoying. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of considering it. I'm tired of, like looking in the mirror and thinking I see a Rhystic Study behind me and going, huh! And then it's not there, like I'm fucking tired of it, man.
Well, here's what I say about this one. Rather than you and I as prime speakers making a decision.
Okay.
Let's democratize this one.
I think everybody will say
like if everybody else feels on board, I think we should just say, okay, let's remove them.
Yeah, the only person that would have a problem with that is Cody. He'd be like, what? And AP's like, cool, I can sell this shit and buy more cards. That's like usually his attitude is like, I can get rid of it.
Yeah. So I say we just ask the crowd, and you're probably right. I think most people will.
I was thinking like, is there a way that we can just incentivize somebody to break it? Like, oh, you used your cross and grip on that early. Hey, guess what? What do you get? What do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's back off for them for a while because how many cards did they destroy that are not coming out of that deck now? And how much mana did they just save all of us? And it cost them. They lost a piece of removal that they could have used to stop someone else a win or whatever. Like, I think homage should be paid to the person that breaks it, but I just don't know how to do that in a constructive way. Like, how do we pay homage?
Yeah, what's the deal that you make?
Yeah, because they're our Lord and Savior, and they killed it. Like, it's kind of annoying. You know what I mean? Like,
do you say? Like, I'll give you one favor. Everybody gives them a favor to call in, or like, what is it?
Yeah, but if I know Tiff, her favor is going to be like, let me win. Like, it'll be extremes like that. Like, I don't know. It might just be easier to say, hey guys, we're not playing anymore.
Yeah, I think we should ask everybody. Do you guys want to play like
Mystic Remora doesn't bug me because they have to keep
they got to pay
to keep it in play. And plus the cost is so huge and it's only non-creature. So it's
I was gonna say, plus it's not applicable to all spells.
It goes away eventually. It solves itself eventually.
Yeah.
Like if they really
I look at the Mystic,
they're held back. They're taxed themselves by holding back that mana to keep paying its cumulative upkeep to keep it in play. If they really value it that much, fine. Yeah. And to say something about Smothering Tide, like I haven't had enough experience with that card yet. I'm sure there's going to be one time where I'm like, oh my God. Its cost is so high that I don't think it's
from that thing a couple weeks ago.
Its ask, I think, is just too high for anyone doesn't even make sense to pay it.
Yeah, nobody should.
No one should. It's just too much. Pulling back 2 mana to prevent them from getting 1 treasure. But again, I don't know. We might be talking and singing a different tune a year from now. But I've had plenty of experience with Rhystic Study to say I would not miss it if it was gone.
Yeah, by the mode of
And I have a pretty hard feeling like they're gonna reprint it soon. They're just
So just get
I
rid
don't know
of
if
it.
it's a reserve. I don't think it's a reserve list card, but I think if I get rid of it now and I say, okay, I can't use it anymore, I'm just gonna go offload mine.
Yeah, and I got my $15 out of
They're
this
pretty
thing.
peaked right now, so it's
Yeah.
like let's just get them onto the market.
All right. Well, okay. So we'll take that to the crowd and say we want to ban this. What do you think?
I think
We'll go with what everybody feels.
Everybody will be like, do it. I'm fucking sick of it.
So let's talk about some other cards that we've already kind of put into the ban.
Okay.
So we banned Cyclonic Rift in our play group recently.
Yeah, we did.
For I think the same reason that we're talking about.
Well, hey, pull up top cards, period.
Yeah. What's number one?
Number one next to Soul Ring. It's Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of got tired of seeing it. You know,
It's the same. I think it's the same argument. Like it's in every blue deck. It's
not mono blue. Every deck that's even
every deck that has blue in it is definitely running it.
Yeah.
And it's
I don't want to. I guess I shouldn't have to say that out loud, but yeah, it's not the honestly like Cyclonic Rift in a mono blue deck. I'm actually okay with. I'm like, what else you got? But a Cyclonic Rift in a Simic deck is like, dude, fuck off. Like you get to that 7 mana spot pretty easily and handedly, and whatever nonsense you're doing with whatever, you know, like I don't know. I'm not. I've been on the better end of that card for years.
Sure.
So I definitely know how great it is. I do. I just was kind of tired of watching myself and every blue deck just like wait and be a non-participant and then blow one out.
Yeah, I think the thing to me about it is I don't think any of us are clamoring that. Well, some do, but for the most part, I don't think we're clamoring like, oh, it's broken.
No, we don't think it's broken. I'm just tired of seeing it.
It's just that it's easy. And I think there's other things that you can do that accomplish what you need out of a Cyclonic Rift. It just, we're tired of it and it's too easy.
Yeah.
So we pushed it out. I would say, we've been doing this for a few months.
I want to say this card's probably in jail. I think if they reprint it to Oblivion and the price I don't think it'll ever come down. But maybe other cards come into play and we revisit and go, we actually probably need to bring this back. Like we don't have like a data warehouse of, okay, the blue decks are actually not winning that often now. Like I don't think we can keep track. And I don't think the blue decks were winning off that card anyway. It was just kind of annoying to watch the game have to rebuild after the Cyclonic Rift was shot.
Yeah.
And it happened almost every game. It was always their first tutor with Mystical Tutor. It was always like getting grabbed by the Merchant Scroll. Like everyone's always grabbing it.
Yeah.
So because it's just a safe ass easy card, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that because
it's not like wholesale ban, but I think like any ban list, like we reserve the right to unban it.
What about my idea? If you're running a mono blue deck, can you run it?
I don't want to do exceptions.
You don't want to do Braids Cabal minion exceptions.
Yeah. Although the funny thing is we do have a card we'll talk about where we've created exceptions around it. But
do you think that's a weird idea though? Like I honestly, as for a mono blue deck, I can't fault them for running it.
Yeah, but the only thing about that, I guess, is that you don't have to meet the conditions that other cards ask for. But it's not like mono blue doesn't have access to that. Asymmetric board wipes. There's others in mono blue.
Like which?
They're not all permanents like Cyclonic Rift, but you can etherize, you can do ether spouts. Yeah, there are conditions that need to be met, and it's not as wholesale. But
they only answer creatures, though. They don't.
That's
grab.
what I'm saying. It's.
If I'm thinking about it, I don't remember anyone shooting a Cyclonic Rift to stop some kind of artifact-based combo because it's usually off of activateds anyway, and they would just it will in response.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, they just load the stack with whatever they were about to do anyway. It's usually like they're being attacked. Cyclonic Rift, and then all the people that weren't even involved in that lose out. They're like, okay, well now I got to bounce my stuff because this guy went wide.
Yeah.
So it really fucked aggro for sure. Like aggro was way hurt by.
Like I would be inclined to say, yeah, I don't know. Like you really do need Cyclonic Rift, but you really don't. You have the things you need,
and we have like a trending down in our CMC. It seems like so it was becoming less and less of a blowout like it was in the early days.
Sure.
Like it seems like before it was like, oh my God, I've got all these like 7 mana spells I got to re-resolve. Like,
Yeah.
I got to get my Gilded Lotuses back online. But now it seems like most mana rocks we are attracted to are 2 CMC mana rocks.
Yeah, 2 or
Like
3.
it's just more of a space of, yeah, we're just kind of tired of seeing the art on the card every time.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable coming back and saying, let's bring it back in. I don't hate the card. I think
AP would be annoyed because he sold all of his.
I think we just
like the minute I said, "Hey man,
yeah,
we're
no,
not gonna
mine
do
are all
Cyclonic
tucked
Rift."
in a binder waiting for that unban. Honestly, like
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing too. But they're pretty peaked right now. It might be a good idea to sell. I have a foil one, so
that's dope.
I don't know.
But what I want to ask before we move on from this card is
this is already done. We're not even talking. Yeah, okay.
What has been the experience for you? How have you felt about the experience in a play group that has no Cyclonic Rift?
I like not having to think about it as a non-blue player when I'm not on blue. But when I am on blue, I'm like, well, here's my Etherize, here's my Tide Spouts. Like those, most of the time, those are the ones I was looking to do anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, Evacuation is kind of my go-to as well.
Yeah.
So I just bounce everything now.
Yeah.
So I honestly haven't really felt it that much.
Yeah.
I haven't really felt it that
But there
much.
haven't been those moments where everybody's like, fuck.
I don't run Devastation Tide as a replacement. Like all of the sorcery type stuff that bounce everything, I don't think that's a good replacement.
Sure.
Even like Inundate. Like I still want the instant speed flexibility. But you know how that's how I am anyway.
Yeah.
I wish there was instant speed, like return all non-creature spells or non-creature cards there. Like maybe, I don't know, would I even run that? I don't even know. I wish there was an alternative to Cyclonic Rift that was as good that wasn't Cyclonic Rift. Something that was a little bit more limiting. Like I liked River's Rebuke, that it did it to one person. But but it's not instant speed.
It's a
sorcery.
It's kind of steep too.
Yeah, that would have been good. Like, hey, don't attack me. Like I liked having the Cyclonic Rift. When I did have it, I liked saying, dude, don't do it. I'm holding 7 up. And then
yeah,
like,
I mean, and that's the thing is
all right,
that
I'm
was
gonna attack
the
somebody
most easy clue for everybody else as well. Like
yeah,
and he's got 7.
I think I'm kind of realizing this as I'm saying it. Like I think that was what is annoying about it. So the guy, like, let's say you're attacking Tiff, and she's like, don't attack me. I have 7 up, and I'm like, yeah, don't attack her. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want even her attacked.
Right.
So I don't want to be a part of this. I wish there was a instant speed River's Rebuke where you're the only one that got fucked for
Yeah.
it. Not me. I didn't attack anybody.
Yeah, I wasn't part of this transaction.
Yeah, so I think there's that whole adage of like all opponents blah 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 equals commander. You know, any card that says all of your opponents lose this much, and all your opponents do this much, and everybody you don't control does this or whatever. Like that's usually true. It's usually better for commander when that's on the line in the text box.
But in terms of enjoyment, like when I think it's a good point. Is that space where you're getting blown out for a transaction you had no part of.
Yeah, it's good for her. I get that. I get as the caster,
it's always good.
You're giggling, you know, like, but me as the guy who's on the sidelines who's been trying to play a politics game or even just whatever, like, that's why I was annoyed by it. I was never annoyed at it getting shot at me.
Sure.
Anytime I was like, okay, yeah, that was the time it needed to go. But then the other guy's like, the fuck, man? Like,
yeah,
this
and
is
it's
so
a completely
annoying.
Non-political card too.
No, it's
right?
not. So. Yeah.
Anyway,
I
was
want
just
an
curious.
Instant speed River's Rebuke where I just bounce that one person's stuff back to their hand.
That's fair. That's fair.
For whatever reason, that was.
Give me an envelope, dude. I'll write Morrow right now.
Okay, I'm sure he'll listen.
Okay, so other cards that we've another card we created a parameter around was a Soul Ring.
This is only for budget decks, though.
And we've also said that no opening hand Soul Rings, right?
Yeah.
That was a little weird, but.
So back when we did the partial Paris, we kind of recognized early on that you can have explosive openings with the Soul Ring. Like when you could partial Paris your way into Soul Ring, Signet, Thelwar, whatever. When we don't run big, like fast mana, or none of us are rich enough for this.
Yeah, there's no
rocks.
mana vaults and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there isn't. I think the mana vault is the only one that any of us do have, but
sure,
no one owns a crypt. No one owns any moxes. Like none of us do that, and we don't proxy. So blah. We just said, hey, we can do the partial Paris, but you can't have your Soul Ring in your opening.
Yeah.
So you would watch somebody go, all right, and we were pretty honorable about it. You'd set it down like it is not going to happen. I can't even lie to you about it. So that was that.
We got away. We went back to allowing it when we went away from partial Paris.
So we went away from partial Paris to Vancouver when that was kind of like the thing that everybody was doing. we're like, well, I guess you can have your Soul Ring in your opening hand because you didn't really sculpt for it. So what we've noticed is that it's still kind of a huge lead. Like, it's still a huge lead. Even if you don't chain it into other mana resources, you're still ahead. You still have a lot
on turn 2, you're on turn 4.
So we've just said, don't put it in your opening hand. You can't have it. So what are you trying to say? Like, we should just bring it back?
Well, I just want to pose the question: does our relationship with the Soul Ring sit in a good place?
If you ask Brad, he'd say, I want it fucking out. He's like,
he's been an advocate of banning it for a while.
He's like, his whole argument is, I want another deck. I want another card slot. My counter argument to that will be, it will just be a Mind Stone or something. Like, it's going to be ramped.
It needs to be a ramp.
You need 10 spots.
Yeah.
At least the basement is like, the basement is 10 spots for ramp. And if you're non-green, it's
going to be a rock. It's going to be another rock.
And I'd say to the green player, like, okay, well then give me your Cultivates and your Kodama's Reaches then. So I'm not behind banning it because of that. Like, what you're going to get from that is just, I need to find another less optimal replacement.
Yeah.
I don't, if that's the reason you're banning it. Brad's reason for banning it is he wants the variety. I don't. If you draw it mid-game, I don't give a shit. It's just like,
it's just whatever.
It's a good draw, I guess. It's like, okay.
You'll play it.
You'll play it. It's the opening hand I don't like to see it in. I don't like seeing it in opening hand.
And even,
Because it skews it. Everybody has to dogpile that one guy, and then we finally get him under control, and they're like, okay. And then who put the least amount of cardboard into that altercation?
I just love it when
they're the guy that's now ahead.
I just love it when they have that in their opening hand, and I've got a broken bond in mine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because
that's awesome.
I will shoot your early
That's the
mana
one card
rocks.
that gets that kind of just because I'll keep Mind Stones and Signets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a problem we need to talk about?
No, I think I was just curious about where we sit with it. Like, is it good that we don't have it in budget decks? Is it good that we don't allow it in opening hands? Do we feel like we sit in a good space with
That's
with
if
the
you
Soul?
trust everybody when they say, I just drew it, I swear.
Yeah, because we do see them a decent amount on turn 2, turn 3, right?
Yeah, the only way to lock that out is we'd have to set a rule like you can't play your Soul Ring unless you have 3 lands. Because at that point, it's like, what are you really getting?
Yeah, well.
At this point.
I don't think there's any thieves among us, so we can assume some honor, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind saying that. Like, you can keep it in your opening hand, but you can't play it unless you have 3 lands.
Huh, that would be interesting.
Because if you have 3 lands, you tap 1, you're at turn 4. Like, you're not, I mean, I guess if you play, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a weird, that's where it starts to like not really pay you, is at 3 lands. You're like,
it occupies a
it's still an advantage. You still do come up.
Yeah.
Like, so if you played your 3rd land, you tap it, then Soul Ring. Okay, great. You're on turn 4 now.
Yeah.
That's not a huge, that way keep it in your opening hand. I don't really care. And that way, if you do your little broken bond thing, it's like, oh, fuck, So no Soul Ring until you have 3 lands.
That would be interesting. Maybe we should try playing that out a little.
And if they never, then what do you do to the person that never draws their 3rd land? Or not never, but it happens. But they're much later.
They're they're on turn 3 and they don't have their 3rd land, but they have a Soul Ring in their hand.
We're bouncing ideas back and forth.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Maybe that all
But again, we already talked earlier about like people avoiding those greedy hands, right?
Right.
Like that's a greedy hand.
Yeah.
2 lands and a Soul Ring.
Vandal Blast
is a greedy hand.
I don't know how to fix this one. This one's kind of like one of
I'm satisfied with where we're at, but I sometimes wonder if there's more we could do to kind of like try to balance.
I just don't like how it pitches it so quick for the guy who finds the soonest.
Yeah.
Like if Tiff finds hers really soon, it's like, and then we're not really going like attack her cause Soul Ring. We're not trying to do that.
It's just like it's that oh shit sinking feeling you kind of have in your gut. Like, oh my God, it's turn 3 and like so imagine me with Nakaya having a Soul Ring. Like, I'm going to get to that point where I can cast this 5 CMC commander 2 turns early
and then jump up. And
then now all of my land is doubled. I'm going to be up your asses so hard, up your godless shrine so hard.
Get out of my godless shrine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bizarre card because it's like seemingly so innocuous, yet
It really is.
So pivotal.
I don't know if a lot of people think about it. I think a lot of people like they probably play in fast mana metas that it's actually not. It's kind of like the mid range,
like mediocre.
Yeah, it's like the rampant growth of their world. For us, it's like yeah, it actually kind of does warp things because all these other ones, like what do we have to compare it to?
Sure.
The next best thing in our group is like a Worn Power Stone. It's like it's pretty good, I guess. Kind of sucks it comes in tapped, but you know,
whatever. I'm here.
Whatever, you know,
Yeah.
because we don't have a lot of people with the budget willingness to go out and blow thousands of dollars on the real mana,
Or
you know,
blow whoever they need to get. They get the money to buy that.
yeah, or to toss somebody's godless shrine to get it. I don't know. I think I like. Maybe we can just crowdsource this one. Like if anyone has any ideas.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear. I'd be interested to hear what listeners think.
All right, we got anything else on our list, man? We're not talking about soul rings. Are we running out of things to talk about?
I know, right? We spent a long time on a soul ring. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You tell me, dude.
No, I think after we got to Rhystic Study, I was like, I'm pretty satisfied. That was the one thing I wanted to throw out to you. Is that I'm fucking sick of it.
All right.
It's funny how I asked you and you're like, I don't like it. You guys are like, okay, he does feel the same way about it that I do because I'm.
You know what I
am not
hate the
good about
most about Rhystic Study is feeling obliged to put it in my decks
Yeah, too.
and then being
It's
like,
not like Soul Ring. It's
'cause
like
I-
find some other draw card.
because
like-
I own
I guess it
I
is.
own 2 copies of Rhystic Study, but I have more than 2 decks that have blue in them, and I want it in all of them.
yeah,
And
and you're geesing it around.
it annoys
it's
me.
migrating north and
It
south
annoys me.
between the decks. I actually hate migrating cards. I know it's like the most economically feasible thing to do. Here's you and I talking about not spending money and whatever.
And then we're like, but
I
fuck
actually,
guests,
I
dude.
really actually hate moving cards from because I made the mistake of just buying too many different color sleeves. Tiff's, they're all Dragon Shield blacks, all of them. So she just doesn't even de-sleeve it. She just moves them around. You know, mine are all over the place. I have different brands. I've got different colors. I got it all, man. Like, you know, I treat my deck sleeves like she treats her shoes for sure.
Just got to have a different flavor each day, right?
Pretty much.
So, do we feel good about like action items for our charter, dude?
Yeah, what are they? So we're gonna put fences around the sequencing thing.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty much it's the main phase. That's that. As soon as you move into combat, you're committed. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like that's that. If you decide to initiate combat, we're
Yeah.
not letting you roll that stupid shit back. Sorry, I'm not gonna get emotional about that.
Yeah.
I already vented myself with that. What was after that? We
All lands, but basic lands are fair game.
yeah, we've kind of rolled back the protections there. So all lands but basic lands are MLDable. Let me ask you this. If somebody shoots a cataclysm or something big, do we just destroy all but basics?
See,
Or do we say, yeah, you can't resolve it? Like
I think we've avoided those types of spells, you know, because I don't think we want to introduce mass land destruction. But
what I'm saying, like we resolve it, but it only hits non-basics.
that's
you
a
know.
different discussion, Andy.
I mean, there's not. My whole thing is there's not any white cards that I don't know if there. Maybe there is, but I don't know if there's any white cards that only hit non-basics in
Non-basics.
mass. I
Yeah,
know
that's a
there's
good point.
Ruination, and there's another red one that's a little nice that lets you replace. It
Yeah,
basically says destroy all non-basics and replace them with basics. That's honestly the first one I'd even go after.
sure.
Because I honestly like there's a lot of Cabal coffers. I don't have enough
Yeah,
ghost quarters to go around anymore.
Yeah.
And dust bowls and strip
yeah,
mine
none
are kinda-
of
they're
us
kind of
jumped on the
expensive.
strip mine before they got expensive.
They're
so
expensive. So yeah, and Tech Edge is kind of annoying. It's
Yeah.
kind of a lot of mana to do it.
I'd be comfortable with trying that, but I think we should see how that
The other ones that just have the
gets
naming.
responded
Okay.
to. Yeah.
What was the next one that we hit?
So then we also brought in static graveyard hate, which we have not allowed in our play group to this point.
So we're saying we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Okay. And then anything else? What was after
So no more Rhystic Study.
Yeah, fuck
well,
that
we're
crap.
gonna ask about it, but we assume that that's gonna be.
that?
the
I'm pretty
outcome.
sure everyone's going to be like, fuck yeah, get rid of it.
And then the other thing, I guess just kind of being the like, make sure we're having conversations to make everybody play approximate.
oh
to
yeah,
each
no
other.
removal shaming. We gotta.
Oh yeah, no removal shaving.
We gotta shame the
That's-
removal
That's
shamers.
mine. That's mine.
Yeah. And then yeah, me and you need to work on our rivalry a little bit with the
Yes.
political whatever. I don't know how to help Brad and Tiff. Like I don't know. That's a social skills thing, I think. So
Yeah,
I
I'm just
I
gonna
don't-
take it out on you in different ways. I'm gonna leave like open cans of tuna fish under your bed or
That's
something.
annoying, dude. And then That'd freak me. That would piss me off. If you did that, holy shit. You know how I feel about food smell. You know how I feel about it.
I like how you like moved on for a second and then you were like, shit, if he really did that, I'd
be furious. Especially in the winter, because I'd have to like open up my windows, put like the box fans in the windows to air it out. That would not be a funny prank at all. And I'm shame on you.
Note to self, never do that.
Never fucking do that. What else? Threat removal, shaming, politics, blah blah blah. Ban Rhystic Study.
Yeah, ban Rhystic Study.
Hashtag ban Rhystic Study.
I think, yeah, like I said, I think it was just kind of the conversation of playing approximate to each other. That's about it.
Oh yeah, like pretty much just flat telling somebody like, if you're gonna play this, sorry, like don't get all salty.
Yeah, like we're all getting our leathers out. I've got my choker on, like.
Yeah, if you're gonna expose your godless shrine when the leathers come out and the whips, like, don't get mad at me if you get a little lacerated down there.
Exactly.
Now is the time to do for yourself. It's nobody halfway. If you want it, you gotta take it.
Sheesh, I think that might have been more revealing than some of our therapy sessions can be indeed. Anyway, thanks for joining me and Andy for the Legendary Creature podcast. We really appreciate it. We also really appreciate all the support we get from all of you with our gameplay videos and just the podcast in general. And thanks for all the kind comments that we get from you. We probably don't say it enough, but we really appreciate our audience and everybody that shares thoughts and ideas and especially compliments the things we do. Music this episode is by the Artist Protector 101. We'll post a link to their stuff in the show notes. Be sure to check them out. The musicians who let us use their music are super kind. They deserve props for letting us use their sweet beats. Again, be sure to check us out on YouTube where you can watch our gameplay videos and see us fuck up at playing Commander. And take it easy. I gotta go take care of this tickle in my godless shrine.
Yeah. Bless your heart. That's
Larry, do you still have that tickle in your anus?
What? Are you experiencing discomfort?
What is she talking about?
What are you talking about?
Where did you get that
nothing
from?
to joke around about. Who are you trying to get an appointment with?
What?
Rosenberg.
Huh?
Rosenberg's a good man. I got a better one. Call this man, Dr. J. Whitney, my wife's cousin Kai. She runs the office.
Oh, she does?
She can open all the doors.
All right, it's
not just the back one. You know what I mean? Seriously,
Yeah.
she can get you in today.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think about it.
Oh, that's nice of you, but there's really nothing wrong with me. Why does it have a tickle in my anus? I don't have a tickle. Are you fucking crazy? Huh? Tickling my anus?
She's just
Where do you
looking
come? Why did you say that? I don't have a tickle. Who said that?
I gotta go.
Look, I think I've given you the wrong impression. Larry's anus is fine.
Shut the fuck up, okay? Shut the fuck up!